Enox will open things up.
And what more can he get done? Bullets down range early on. It's good high ground, good position to be in. They've got a great understanding of where exactly they could be potentially fought from. Bit of a move on the go here as well as we see the rotation from Evos off the back of their cleanup. Now finding a bit of a safer compound to play in, but they've been startled, detected from across the road. We're lying in wait. It's Melise of all squads. Hit and miss yesterday, Blank. Honestly, to be fair with you, mate, I feel like we saw a truer test of them, at least in Group Green. You know, from what we saw yesterday, it felt like they were struggling a little bit. Even CEO later, there were times where it felt like this guy was a bit of a one-man army. I don't feel like he was as quick to the mark yesterday. I'm hoping, obviously, with a day of rest, you've come back in a little bit more fresh-faced today. Would like to see some improvements from them today.
Yeah, I mean, for the Turkish squad, it's just a little bit difficult for them at the moment. I mean, they've been making a lot of right moves. And I think for an edge team that likes to kind of read into opponents' movements around the map and cut the legs out from underneath them, they did a good job of it in terms of theory, right? In theory, where they were playing, it was all fantastic. Then they were going down to these engagements. They weren't always able to win it out very cleanly with a four-man squad going onwards and just clearing from there. And they ended up just losing games very early on. And this kind of the risk with playing edge a lot of times whilst you're holding out and guarding those edge sides is that if you get into an engagement there, you lose it, right? There's not much chance of getting very much further into the game. For other teams that like to leapfrog from edge and then send towards a kind of a middling position between the center of the circle and the outer side of it, you have much more chance to get further into the game and maybe pick yourself some pretty consistent placement points off the back of it. And we had a really good conversation as well yesterday, or even this morning, actually, bloody hell, mixing up my time zones. It's all going so quickly right now, where we were talking about, you know, look, some of these teams yesterday just came out absolutely swinging, and I think in this format you have to, whereas other teams sort of got in their own heads a bit.
Yeah, that was one of the big focal points we were kind of sort of umming and ahhing over, about how you could see the difference of, let's say, a team like Influence Rage, who came out just playing their style, just absolutely giving it, right? Any opportunity they had to just swing on a fight, play confidently, going into an engagement, basically thinking, you know, we've already won this. They're just thinking about the points being in their pocket. You're going to have so much more of a better time of it than going into it giving so much respect to teams, overthinking these situations. And we've seen that change. A lot of our squads from Group Green, it feels like their play styles have kind of flip-flopped more so than anything compared to what we were seeing during that regular point. This is an interesting one, actually kind of ties into that. You can see here, Reject Tokyo at least getting a bit more confidence to fight and contest for center control. A little bit lucky there in terms of the draw of the circle, but it works out. You've got a compound, you're in a good spot, and they're going to be pleased with this, mate. They'll be chuffed with that, Blank, because when they had center control, when they felt comfortable early in a compound, this is where we saw some of the better games from Reject, because honestly, they're great on defense, good comms. It just felt like getting there was rough for them. They've been playing a lot of edge, and it hadn't been working out too well. I'd hope that would be a positive change. Bit of a fight potentially developing here as well. You've got the push up the hill. Focus is drawn from NASA towards the backside, but a few bullets whizzing on by. Room for a bit of a scrap here.
Yeah, I think for Enigma Galaxy as well as Nisa, this is a case where potentially Enigma Galaxy will just think about just swinging wide of this, potentially trying to get in underneath towards Painan. I think Enigma Galaxy is a team that is very well known for some of their more smart rotations. A little bit of a scout there from Ralph. He's in very much danger now of taking a knock. Luckily, the vehicle is going at a strong 90 miles per hour. Alter Ego zooming in towards where Reject is playing. Already Octa gets taken down here. They try and take control of one edge, but Reject has penned them in, locks them into one location. Now the nades can start to come through. There's a lot of damage off the back there. In the meantime, Duxan does take down Ralph. We talked about him earlier being very, very low.
Pins pulled on the nades for Alter Ego, looking to see if maybe there's a way they can defend themselves with these bad boys. Problem is they've already taken so much damage. Reject Tokyo setting themselves up. They're trying to reset in terms of the defense and readjust what positions they're playing from so they can support each other a little bit easier. There is nades in play as well. Reject Tokyo normally very good on lining up those double nades. That could be something to come back towards. For now, we'll see what's happening up on the hillside as well. There's been a bit of commotion here. Teams have been making their presence known, and that high ground control is going to be worth its weight in gold the longer this one goes on. So pressure being applied there. Rotation coming in as well. You got Alliance on the move as they start to make their way over. Drop in the smoke so they've actually got some cover to work with. And you'd need it because Melisse are close by and they're eagle-eyed, Blank. They've got eyes like a hawk.
Yeah, for Yudu, this is probably one of the toughest rotates currently happening on around the map, where they're sort of locked in between DX as well as Melisse Esports, and DX has a fantastic control of his high ground. Something we saw a lot from them yesterday is identifying some very strong positions on the map, but also being really good at holding them down. Not necessarily always in compounds, just in certain areas of the map where they have that high ground control. They can play around a little bit of hard cover and go from there. Circle moves very hard towards that north side. Now, that is a little bit of grace given towards MB Esports. They can use that to their advantage. Yudu Alliance, they take a knock in Flax, and a quick heal goes over towards Fatar there. So very, very immediate response from Yudu Alliance, but I don't think it's going to be enough here. I think they're just caught on with the worst end of the stick out of the lobby. Probably the only team that's going to suffer in the next minute or so, I would say. Melisse Esports on this side of the map. Now, Kissu does go down. Poser has a nade in hand. We'll send it over towards Nisa, but Melisse Esports, again, just crumbling a lot during these days. Again, Nisa, 5 eliminations found so far. Really, really good stuff from them. I think this is interesting because it is a lot of these squads that we see a fair few times that just come into these games swinging. They tend to do well, and I would say that this is a very, very good and promising mark of the game going forward here, Jackie.
I'd agree with you, man. It feels like, actually, we're getting into a bit of a groove now, a bit of a stride for some of our teams. A lot more aggression displayed early game as well here with the culmination of the two groups we have in today's lobby for survival stage. Now, they were being pulled and pushed in multiple directions here. It felt like they weren't quite sure which fight they wanted to set their gaze on, but now they've been thrust into one. They have to try and survive, taking a ton of damage up against Evos. Good lay of the land from Link as well. Knows to look towards the distance, can see just over the ridge side where his next opponent is coming from. They've got an understanding of where exactly he's playing towards, but with the bullets connecting, they're going to start to farm up these E-limbs. Melisse, meanwhile, are crashing down as well. This is Yudu Alliance still trying to push over that hill. They've been doing this for quite some time, Blank, and maybe it's going to start to work out. Nice connection onto Levites. He's dropped and finished off for good, and they're still pushing in.
Yeah, Cluck's doing a really good job here. I actually like the thought process we saw from Yudu Alliance. Unfortunately for them, DX follow them down on that south side, which is a really cool play from DX. You don't a lot of times see teams chasing on this situation. In the meantime, Reject desperately trying to hold on towards their central compound. They left it. They moved towards that north side, but they did face off versus FaZe. But they're currently still in a strong position. Gladiators, for them, this game is very, very important. They already started things off really well with a 4 limmer. It would be absolutely strange and weird circumstance that we see Gladiators get the majority of their points done on Sandhawk. As we know, they are horrid at this map. This is a map that they do not find a lot of success on, but already they're up to 7 eliminations. With 4 players alive, this is starting to be a really good run for them.
There's an itch in the back of my brain just reminding me of one of the Sandhawk games we saw from Gladiators quite some time ago, Blank. And I just remember it starting off in the same kind of way. When the pressure's on Gladiators, when it feels like, the story's not going to happen, the crazy comeback towards the end is never going to be there. It feels like finally that Cinderella story won't be written. Something like this happens. We've seen it before on Sandhawk. I don't know what causes them to play like this sometimes, but they've certainly had their breakfast this morning, and they're coming out with some fiber numerous maneuvers, looking very solid in the moves they're making. 7 elims to the name blank. How much longevity have they got on this one? We'll keep our eyes on it because Gladiators need a good game, and the individuals are playing to prove that.
Yeah, they desperately do. Right now, facing off versus Duxan, not an easy team to go up against. MBE Sports, they lose Fistboy on a knock. That's to DX, who are doing a really good job over on this eastern side, just clearing their way through. Up to 3 eliminations now. Alter Ego also chiming in. Bit of a better rotate from them over towards this south side, able to take over that compound that Reject were holding on to. I think a lot of that comes off the back of the fact that Gladiator was able to get some really good pot shots between the windows, knock some of the players from Reject. Very much slow them down, bog them down. More nades sailing in from Gladiators, taking out the remainder now of Duxan. FaZe spots out some of the players from Gladiators, will take some pot shots towards them, over towards that western side. Chow gives his life for the rest of the team, but it's just Paragin now. With Lamborghini down, he is able to get in, but this is more of a survival game for them. Great circle here for the Gladiators. The last minute men, as usual, very much feels like back towards my university days, where the deadline's looming and then suddenly I'm in the library for 24 hours.
That's how it always goes with Gladiators, man. I sympathize them with a lot, Blank. I'm the same. Unless the deadline's there, it's not getting done. And that's the way they play. And honestly, it's working wonders for them right now. Again, you know, with every time we're looking over to them, they're starting to build up more elims. And like you're saying, zone-wise as well, they're in a good position to make a play off this. The one awkward encounter in the dead center as well is Reject Tokyo, now basically being the Reject duo, with all of FaZe in full force around them as well. So not really what you want to be. A bit of flat sharing going on, and that's illegal. It's called subletting, Blank. FaZe are going to clap back onto DX as well, finding a way to peek through the windows. An assault onto Paragin. That's an unlucky knock.
Yeah, I think right now, even though he's able to get Lamborghini up, it was kind of for nothing. This little high ground the Gladiators currently have control of was so fortuitous that they got the circle on this side. Coming off that high ground is very difficult, so they're trying to milk it for as much as they can here, stay on this top side. But it's MBE Sports coming in to try and challenge us. So now, Gladiators need to be ready for this one. Kitsune luckily is in position as the DBS, only able to find one though, and that's not quite enough. The rest of the team instantly needs to improvise off the back of this. Sek and Mondo are down, so it's a decent start. The nades start pouring in, and it's a nice nade on the backside towards Fistboy. Just a Kaze left remaining, and Gladiators quickly clean them up there. Up to 12 eliminations now, Jackie. A fantastic start. Tixie's flying through the air. Matic is on the support.
Oh, mate. This is perfection put together so precisely from Gladiators right now. That was beautiful. The nade work to defend after the crash was on point, and then straight back into hungering for more elims. The peek down the hill, beautiful connection on the aim skill as well, and we get left with our final 4. A scrappy one at that as well, Blank. Alter Ego still alive. They were able to find what remained of Mad Bulls and shut them down, but they've now had the same done to them. Peek out from Sarah Biceps, and with a smooth right hook, he's wiped them off the face of the battleground. 3 squads remain.
Gladiators currently on the outside edge right now. It's FaZe with a very strong position. Alter Ego still need to work their way in as well, but they went out earlier on. Reject holding on. It's a good little game for them, but for the Gladiators, more points would be absolutely gorgeous for them here. If they could win out this game, they'll send themselves tumbling towards that top side of the lobby after just one match. So 20 points. Realistically, if they can get themselves 25 after this, they'll be very, very safe. It'll give them a buffer. They still will need to put in the work after the rest of the day, but they'll be in so much better stead. And taking that pressure off yourself this early on in the day is so, so nice.
Taking the pressure off themselves and applying it to Reject Tokyo. Problem is, though, it's not going to turn them into diamonds. It seems like they will instead just buckle under the pressure. Bit of a peek out here from FaZe, though, as Gladiators encroach further on the compound, closing in on them, using their utility to try and blow Lufa out of the equation. Nade after nade barreling through. Swing from FaZe on the stairway as well. And that connects. Sameku left black and blue, down on his last legs now as they first onto him. Gladiators with only a duo remaining, Blank.
I think regardless of what happens there, I think Gladiators are fairly pleased with this result, right? Meku was always left behind to try and help the rest of the team get further up. Now it's Matic in a 1v3 scenario. It's going to be very difficult for him to pull this type of thing off. Goes for the pre-fire as the circle starts to push all these players in. Has an idea of where they're swinging. This rock is really nice to play around, but on Zen, he's on the prowl, and it will be found by the rest of the team. Mormon finishes off Matic. Regardless, FaZe picks himself a nice win from a very easy rotate on that north side, but for Gladiators, that could have been a lot more for them. Either way, I think it was around about 15 eliminations they finished that game with the 6 points on top of it. 21 points is just a very, very nice start for them. And you know what? Jason might have been right to bring them up at the start of the day.
It's crazy, isn't it? You know, we sit there, Jason brings out all his storylines that you think are never going to happen. And I think we hit the mark for